Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Fola. If this is your first time seeing me, you're welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back again. Today, I'm going to be talking about how and why my Canadian permanent resident application was refused after waiting for 1 year, how I was able to appeal for this application to be reopened again all by myself without a lawyer or an immigration consultant, and how my application was reopened and now I am a permanent resident in Canada. If you're interested in knowing about this, please subscribe to my channel and then we're gonna get right into the video.
When I walk into the kitchen, you saw the look on my face, you saw the look on my heart.
Okay, so let me take it back a bit and give background information so we can understand the context in which my application was refused. I applied for my permanent residency through the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, and I applied using the Atlantic International Graduate Stream. Okay, so I finished my master's degree in June 2019. I defended my thesis and completed my master's degree June 2019. I started my job in August 2019. If you know about the Atlantic Immigration Graduate Stream, you don't need work experience. All you need is to have studied in Nova Scotia for at least 2 years. So that's 2 academic years, and then you qualify for that. So that was what I used. My job was willing to sponsor me. My job was a designated employer. I'm like, why not? Let me go through that stream. So after my 3 months probation, that was in November 2019, I submitted my application to the province for endorsement. I don't really want to go into details on Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. If you want to know about AIPP and how I was able to get a job with a designated employer and my process for that, I can make another video. Let me know in the comment section, but I'm not going to go deep into AIPP. Like I said, I applied for my endorsement in November 2019 and I got endorsed by the province for permanent residency in February 2019. It took 3 months for my endorsement because it was towards the end of the year. I put in my application for PR on February 27th, 2020. I submitted my application and they received it on that day. And AIPP takes an average of 6 months to process your PR. But unfortunately, COVID-19 hit and everything was closed. If you submitted the application through AIPP or via AIPP paper-based to the Sydney office, you will know that that was the worst time. Like, it was the worst time to submit. If you submitted your application January, February, March 2020, that was the worst time to submit your application. I didn't hear anything from these guys. March, April, May, June, July, August, 6 months already in August, nothing. September, October, nothing. That time I'd become quite sad, even though it wasn't just happening to me alone. It was just like, why? 1 month we understand, 2 months we understand, 4 months we understand because people were still trying to get used to COVID. But 5 months, 6 months, why are you not opening our application? What is happening? But I still stayed put. I was still at my job. One thing about AIPP is that your job is sponsoring you, so you have to stay with your employer. So I couldn't leave my employer or anything, and I had to stay at my job. Fortunately for us that applied via AIPP, they started opening our applications by November. I think on November 18, 2020, I finally got my acknowledgement of recipient. I was so happy. That day was literally the highlight of my 2020 year. I was very happy because that meant that my application had started processing and I would have my PR, let's say in 6 months or less than 6 months, because I've submitted since February. Why should it take another 6 months? So AOR, November 18, 2020, a happy day. Excited to go into the new year. Let's see what's up, what's gonna happen. We're gonna get a PR in 2021. Yay, finally. 5 days into the new year, on January 5, this is getting quite emotional because I'm trying to remember how that day happened. I logged into my online account and I saw decision made. I was happy because I'm like, yay, they finally approved my PR. You know, when you log into your GC key and you see updates and on the top you see decision made, and I scroll down and I see your application has been refused. And I had to go down to download the refusal letter. Just a minute, please. And I scrolled down and I saw refusal letter. At that point, my head was blank. I couldn't think of any reason why my permanent resident application should be refused. If you know me well, you know I am detailed to the T. I do everything all by myself because I want to make sure that I'm doing it right. I am extremely detailed. I'm just like, why would these guys refuse my permanent resident application? After 1 year, I downloaded the refusal letter, and you know what? I'm going to bring up my refusal letter so I can read it to you guys. Without going into a lot of details, I'm just going to read my refusal letter, the places that stood out to me. So it says, "Dear my name, I have now completed the assessment of your application for a permanent resident visa as a member of the Atlantic International Graduate Class, and I've determined that you do not meet the requirements for immigration to Canada." That first paragraph broke me. But you know what? I was still curious, like, okay, why? What has happened? What is the reason? So the letter goes, just explained the requirement for applicants that are applying through the international graduate class and listed all of the requirements. The first one is provincial endorsement. The second one is minimum of a 2-year degree, diploma, certificate or trade or apprenticeship credentials from a recognized publicly funded institution in one of the 4 Atlantic provinces. And the visa officer underlined. So the visa officer underlined that part and put a highlight on minimum of a 2-year degree. Let me try to see if I can show you what it looks like. And further into the rejection letter, it says that I am not satisfied that you meet the minimum education requirements for the following terms. This is him or her trying to explain to me why I do not qualify for AIPP, why I'm not eligible to apply for my permanent residency. So it said, according to the MSVU website, that's my university, the program that I completed consists of 8 courses and a thesis, which is correct. That meant that the visa officer went to my university's website. So you guys cannot lie to these people. They do their own research. And he or she said that the transcript that I provided showed only 1 full year of studies and a thesis which lasted for 1 semester, 2018. You therefore did not complete full-time studies for a full 2 years as it's required under the stream of AIPP. And I'm just like, what? I did not complete my studies for 2 years. Am I a joke to you? Following an examination of your application, I am not satisfied that you meet the requirements of the Act and Regulation for the following reasons. I am therefore refusing your application. The part that killed me in this letter, and whenever I read this letter, I just laugh because that part killed me. It says, the decision communicated in this letter constitutes the definitive and final decision on your present application. When I read that refusal letter, I didn't cry, and I'm a crybaby. I did not cry immediately. I was more like, oh yeah, so I was refused based on the fact that I did not study for 2 years, which I did, by the way. I didn't make any mistake. It was not a mistake for my part. It was something that was out of my control. I brought out my transcript and I realized that my transcript for my thesis only showed the term of registration and not for the whole duration. So there's something about my university, the way they do their transcript, or the way that my university works with their transcript and course registration, is that When you register for your thesis, it covers a period of 1 year. So on your transcript, it would only show that you registered your thesis in that term that you did, which in my case was fall 2018. But then my concern was that visa officer can actually say that they went to my university's website, saw the requirements that I needed to have completed my master's degree. Then they could have gone to that same website to see how my university handles thesis and how it is that once you register, it covers a period of 12 months. You don't have to be registering every term like he expected me to. First, I have to acknowledge that when a layman looks at my transcript, the layman would assume that I finished university December of 2018 and my thesis lasted 4 months. And I started getting really sad because it was like, I worked hard. I worked extra hard, very, very hard in university. Wrote my thesis for 10 months. Worked extra hard, found a job, applied for my PR, and after waiting for 1 year, I am getting a refusal on something that is no fault of mine. I didn't make my transcript myself. Something that the visa officer could have easily just sent me a message or an additional request or some sort of explanation, and you're cutting it short like that. We are still in 2021, but that was the worst day of my life in 2021. Not so fun fact about me, I don't handle rejection well. I'll say I am kind of privileged that I have never been rejected in my life. And I'm not talking about you apply to a job and you get rejected. I have never been rejected for anything that I actually wanted in my life. My life has always been smooth sailing. So this one came as a big shock. For the first 24 hours after I got that refusal letter, nothing entered my mouth. I could not eat. I could not do anything. But I'm like, you know what? I am not accepting this decision. It is okay if it was a fault of mine. If I lied for one thing, if I did another thing wrong, it is perfectly okay. I would accept it. And I started to plan on what I was going to do, the next step for me. Then I reached out to my sister. See, I just want to give a quick shout out to my family members because they are the real MVP. I couldn't have been here without them. Shout out to my family members. Shout out to my friends that were with me throughout this process. It was a 3-month struggle. But shout out to you guys for helping me stay sane. Even when I was sad and down and depressed, y'all still stood by me. I really appreciate this so much. I told my sisters first, I'm like, my PR was refused. And they were like, why? I'm like, every freaking person was angry. They were very angry because it was refused for a flimsy reason. Everybody, like, no, Folake, we cannot take this. Now to the major question. Are we going to use a lawyer to fight this for you? Or what are we going to do? Folake with the coconut head. I'm like, nope, no lawyers. I will fight this battle by myself. And one thing about me is, I'm ready to do something. I go overdrive on my research. Immediately after that refusal, all of my web pages was on refusal, reconsideration, all of that. That was all my web pages were on. I started doing extensive research, looking at people's cases. One website that I use that I love so much is canadavisa.com. Guys, if you have any problems with your Canadian visa, not even problems, if you need any information in this life in regards to Canada, the only forum you need to be on is canadavisa.com. Period. That's the only forum you need to be on. So the first thing I did was call my thesis supervisor. Shout out to my thesis supervisor. And I'm like, this is what has happened. I need a letter from you. I need a letter from you. That is the most important thing that I need. I did not finish my thesis December 2018. I did not study for my thesis for 4 months. Nobody does that. So I reached out to my supervisor. She was like, Folake, I'm game, I'm down. Whatever we're ready to do. Also reach out to the university. Shout out to my university, man. I swear, It just felt like everything came through for me. So I sent a very detailed email to the person in charge of my department. Basically, I sent a very detailed letter, why I was rejected, when I finished uni, everything detailed. And that's very, very important. So she said she's going to forward the letter to the registrar and she would let me know. So I already got my supervisor to write me a letter stating that I did not study for 4 months. My thesis lasted 10 months. She wrote that letter, put it on the university's letterhead, signed, sent it to me. I'm like, one down. I got my letter from the university in less than probably 3 days. And they wrote a very, very detailed letter for me. See, I didn't send them any template. I didn't send them what I wanted to be in the letter. All they received was the email that I sent detailing why I was refused. And they wrote a very detailed letter touching all of the points that the visa officer mentioned. First, the visa officer said I didn't study for 1 year for my thesis. They touched that point. He said I didn't study full time. They touched that point. It was extremely detailed. The letter also explained how the thesis is done in the university. So I got that one. And I'm like, I'm going to apply for a reconsideration. What is a reconsideration? There is no formal process for reconsideration. Fill out the web form and let them know why. So let me explain something. I am only able to confidently not use a lawyer or a Canadian consultant because I have people around me. The reconsideration letter that I ended up writing to the visa officer was done by myself and my sister. My sister is an excellent writer. That girl, she's a genius. I could have not done it all by myself. If it was just by myself without somebody that could help me, I would most likely have run to a lawyer or immigration consultant, paid $250 for consultation and probably $2,000 for whatever they were going to do for me. Maybe. But my sister and I, we sat down one night and we're like, we are going to touch on all of the topics. We are going to lay down facts. This is the facts of the situation. This is what it is. I did not study for 4 months. So we went through that letter. We wrote something. We wrote it. I wish I could read it to you, but I probably would have to bring out my computer. We wrote the letter, explained everything, explained all of the visa officer's concerns, and it was time to submit the letter. This is why I call myself extra detailed. You want information? I am going to give it to you. I could have easily wrote that piece of document and said that I studied for 2 years. It was a misunderstanding. Attach my university's letter, attach my supervisor's letter, and it would have still worked out the same way, right? But I didn't stop there. I submitted a 13-page attachment. Thinking back at it, I'm like, Falaka, you overdo, man. Shit. I submitted a 13-page attachment, including my university's letter, my supervisor's letter. I went to my university's website, took a screenshot, highlighted it on my university's website. So this is me telling the visa officer that this information is readily available on my unit's website. You could have figured it out there. I didn't stop there. Now, you said I finished December 2018. No, I didn't. I'm going to account for every month after that time. Email confirmations. I told him my thesis is readily available on the internet. If you type in my name, my first name, my university, you're going to see my thesis readily available on the internet. I attached the document that my university sent out when it was time to defend my thesis, the link that people could join. Everything was dated. Everything was dated June 2019. The one that was dated February was dated. So this is just me establishing the timeline for the visa officer to note that, no, I did not stop studying December of 2018. I studied up until June 2019, and this is the timeline. And I sent that as a web form. I sent that as a web form 5 days after I got my refusal, so on January 10th. And that was when the tears started. After I sent the web form, I felt like, yes, At least my mind is at peace right now, knowing the fact that the university backed me up. Everything, every document backed me up, and it wasn't my fault that I got refused. But then after I submitted, it kicked in. See, I think at that point that I was refused, I was on a combative mood. I just want to fight this battle. I just want to fight this battle and let them know that they lied. Let them know that their decision is false. And then after I submitted, it was more like, damn, you were really refused your permanent residency. Like, dang, you probably have to start all over again. This document that you just sent probably means nothing. They probably are just going to open it and be like, okay, and so I've made my decision. Now, if you submit a web form on Canada's website, they would let you know that it takes an average of 5 business days. They lied. Let me tell you, 1 week, 5 business days, no response. 2 business weeks, no response. 3 business weeks, no response. At that point, my family were like, Falake, it is what it is. You probably have to start all over again. You probably have to just forget about this one and start all over again. Now let's start plan A, B, C, D. What are we going with? And the thought that I had to start all over again, which is most likely probably another 1 year processing, broke me. I was broken. I was sad. I was like, I can't do this no more. 3 weeks, no response. I tried to reach out to my employer, and bless their soul, they were ready to sponsor me again and let me apply for another endorsement. This time using the skilled stream instead of the international graduate, because I already have work experience, right? So we had to start that process again. We started the process again. I had to apply for another endorsement from the province. And by that time, I had already started accepting whatever came. I had already started easing back into reality and figuring out that it is what it is. This is real life. So I started saying, maybe there's really no hope. Maybe that is actually the definitive and final decision they're going to make, and they're not going to do anything about it. 4 weeks in, still no response. 5 weeks in, still no response. 6th week, I got a response. And they were like, we're going to forward your request to the visa office or visa officer in charge or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay. Wow, there's still hope. Because somewhere along that 6 weeks, I had already lost hope. Even though my family were still very hopeful, fasting and praying for me. If you know Nigerian families, you know they go overboard with these things. And then the waiting game started again. I mean, it was not really a waiting game, but at that point I became really impatient. Exactly 1 week after I got that response that they were going to forward my application to the visa officer, the employer called me and said that we just received a call from IRCC asking if you were still working here, and we told them that you were still working and that we had actually even put in another application for you to start your process all over again, and that the visa officer was like, well, I wouldn't need that application anymore. I was sleeping. I was half asleep, half awake, because that call actually woke me up. And I'm just like, immediately they said that, I picked up my computer, logged into my GCK account, and I literally saw a miracle. I call it a miracle because it is actually a miracle. It is what I describe as a miracle. I saw my application go from decision made, refused, to application in progress. I screamed the fuck. I could not control myself. I was screaming so much. Like, what is the probability that Somebody telling me that they've made their definitive and final decision and they are coming back to say, no, we changed our minds. This is not our final decision anymore. We have reopened the application. Man, it was a miracle. I mean, that's my own little miracle. My application was reopened, guys, but it felt like I won a lottery. It felt like, are you freaking telling me I don't have to wait for another 1-year process? I don't care how long it takes for this application reopened to lead to permanent residency, right? But they actually reopened it. Then next thing, from application reopened, they sent me a pre-arrival service letter. And I'm like, that's it, period. Nothing. Nobody can steal what belongs to me anymore. After they sent me my pre-arrival, next thing, medical passed. My medicals expired December of 2020. And March 2021, I'm still getting medical passed after my application got refused. I thought after they reopened it, they would actually request for more information from me. Because when I read online, a lot of the people who have the application reopened, they had to submit new information. They had to submit new documents like medicals, police certificates, all of that stuff. Next thing, I got an email. Your application is ready to be finalized. Pay your right of permanent residency fee. Let me tell you, after 6 weeks of my refusal, is it 6 or 4 weeks? I got my $490 back in my account, and I think that kind of sealed it in my mind that these people are never gonna reopen this thing again. For them to refund my money to me, that's it. It's over. But this guys messaged me and said that my application was ready to be finalized and that I should resend. Now they're asking for $500. They refunded $490. They want $500. I'm like, you know what? If you want $700, I'm gonna give it to you. If you want $10,000, I'll pay it to you. So I paid my $500, and then I started waiting again. 1 week, nothing. 2 weeks, nothing. I check my account every day because I don't want to be taken by surprise again. After work, I just logged into my account and I saw an update. I saw a decision made. This time around, I was not excited because remember I was excited on January 5 and excitement was shattered. Then I logged into my account and I saw a decision made. And I saw confirmation of permanent residency. You know what? I read my refusal letter to you. It's only right that I read my COPR letter to you. What do you think? Let's get it. Listen up, guys. Listen up. Dear my name, I am pleased to advise you that your application for permanent residence in Canada is now complete. Congratulations, you are now a permanent resident of Canada. I was like, what God cannot do does not exist. 3 months ago, I got a letter very similar to this that said that my application was refused and that was their definitive and final decision. And 3 months after, I got a letter saying I am now a permanent resident of Canada. I'm just like, this could have gone a very different way. I accepted the decision that they wanted to reject my application. When I got this COPR, I was just like, I deserve it. I worked hard for it. I didn't have to struggle for it this much, but I'm so happy that I got it. I fought for it and I got it, and that's why this is a little bit personal. It is something that I would probably have never shared, but I'm making this video just to say that sometimes we shouldn't just accept rejection like that. No, if I'd accepted this rejection, bruv, I would probably just be submitting another PR application because I finally got another provincial endorsement. So at the end of the day, I had 2 provincial endorsements for AIPP because I have one now chilling there and I'm useless. I'm not going to use it. Like, if I'd accepted that decision, I would just be submitting another PR application right now, waiting for another 1 year. Guys, I'm not saying you have to fight every decision, because, bro, there's some that it's so obvious that you can't fight. But little things like mistake in NOC, in your knock code. When I was researching on reconsideration, I saw people that they chose the wrong knock code and they asked for reconsideration and they opened the application again. Mistakes on the visa officer's part. Minute things like this. Like, guys, don't just settle. Some things are worth fighting for. You deserve everything that you want. Everything good you want, you deserve it. The period where my application was reopened to the period where I got my PR, it didn't take up to 1 month, which is crazy. And of this, I am just so thankful to God, because, man, I don't think I could have done it without God. Everything just worked out for my good. After I got my PR, my video is over at this point, but I just want to share some other things. After I got my PR, I got my brother and my dad and everyone just like, Folaliving, this is to show that life isn't always what you want it to be. Everything you want, you don't get it. But being truthful, being determined, being resilient helps you, and you go a long way. And that's fact. The whole process shook me a lot, a whole lot. And it's taught me that life is ups and downs. You don't always get what you want, but also you should never give up. And I'm so glad I didn't give up. I am so happy. I am so glad that when I got that rejection letter and they said it was their final decision, I didn't just sit down and cry and let it go. I'm so glad that I was resilient and I challenged the decision, and I got it. That's all that I have to share today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you got to this part of the video, I'm assuming that this video is going to be very long. If you got to this part of the video, man, you are really dedicated to my YouTube channel, and I appreciate it so much. Thanks, guys, so much for watching this video, and I'm just really here to encourage you to not give up. Is it that Canadian dream? Don't give up. Is it that job? Don't give up. Don't give up on anything. Be resilient. Fight for what you want. Fight for what you need. Even if they say no, fight for it. If they say no again, keep fighting for it. Start all over again. That's sometimes there is strength in starting over again. I was willing to start again, but then God came through for me. Thanks, guys, for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Check out my Instagram, Folaliving. Like this video. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this video. Let me know how you feel. If you're going through anything, leave a comment below. Let's try to reason together and try to find a way to solve it for you. Maybe, if we can. Thanks again, guys, and enjoy yourself. Bye.